Okay, the form that Peter was referring to, no, that was a different form, never mind. This is a different form. You should have all picked up one of these when you picked up your big fat packages from either side of me. So does anyone not have one of these white forms that says Phoenix Union High School District 210 Employee Travel Acknowledgement to 2015 to 2016? Anybody not have one of these? Okay, so my lovely assistants will pass some out. Okay, so this is the new travel acknowledgement form. You only need to do this once. Twyla will then keep it on record, and then you don't need to do it every time you fill out a travel rec for any kind of travel. And essentially, this is the form that says that you understand when you travel that you will not be paid outside of your professional day, even if you're traveling overnight or your travel takes you beyond 3:30. That's essentially what this form says. So everybody needs to sign one. We need to have one on file in order to do a travel rec for any travel that you have. All right, so what we are about to embark upon is the board policies, and then Matt will go through the evaluation document. So once we're through with the board policies, if you are classified, you are free to go because you sat through the evaluation in service yesterday. So, and if you are here today and you did not get a packet, make sure we have your name somewhere on a list. So when you leave, make sure you've turned in your travel rec or your travel request form to us directly. That'll be our acknowledgement that you sat through this in service and you don't have to sit through it again. Because if you're not here today and you're not turning in all these signature forms that you have in front of you, you will have to, those who are not here or who are here and forget to turn in their forms, will have to sit and watch this in the conference room on a video. No fun there. No, I just said, just turn that in and then that's your verification, and then we'll get to the other forms. There are a few people we don't have forms for, so if you just sign the white form and turn that into us, then we know that you need the others. All right, so we are going to go through the board policies, and we are going to go through them quickly. My goal is to do them in 30 minutes or less, so I zip through them quickly. So what I need to though to say, my disclaimer on this, is that even though we're going through 100 and Lord knows how many slides in about 30 minutes, it doesn't mean that you are not responsible for understanding what the board policies are. So there are a couple things you can do. If you go through a board policy that you are not clear on, you can come in and talk to me about it. You can go on the website, the Phoenix Union High School website, under this tab for student or staff services, has these board policies all explained. This is the first time they put them on the website. So you can go on the website and then you can look at them again. But it is your responsibility to understand the governing board policies that affect all of us in terms of our contracts and our responsibilities. And as I go through these, sometimes I get a little glib as I go through because I've done this so many times, and for many of you, you've seen them so many times. Please know that that does not mean that they're not serious. They are serious because these are the things that can cause all of us trouble. They can cause us trouble personally, professionally, but they can all cause us trouble as a school. And we do not want South Mountain to be in the news for anything that's not good news. So again, as we go through, any questions you have on them, come see me, come look at the website. You could talk to your CTA unit chairs, Noelle and Kristen. Seek out additional information. All right, let me just get this up and going. Okay, first of all, there's a coverage form that you should sign that says you attended the in-service. So you should all have that and be signing that one. That's got your sticker on it with your name on it. So that's the very first one. And then we're going to be flipping through these as we go through. This first series of slides have to do with professionalism, commitment to excellence. So this mission statement, as you know, is the same as the South Mountain mission statement, so that's great. This is some belief statements about what the district stands for. The key thing up here is that the education of our youth is a shared responsibility of all of us, everybody that works on this campus, everybody in their community. Again, as I said, this presentation is available on the website, and so you can go on the website, and there's a link here, but you can just go on the website, pull down the staff tab, and voila, there it is. So the topics we're covering today are these. And they are related to Arizona state laws, 8 state statutes, and these are the statutes. So you've already received the calendars. You should have gotten a calendar event, so you should be pretty clear on the schedules and calendars. If not, just let one of us know. Professional day, this shouldn't be too surprising. 7:30 to 3:30, duty-free lunch, line of authority. We've already gone through that with our support staff, so that's already happened. Key thing on this slide is students are to be supervised before, during lunch, and after school. Students are not to be unsupervised, which means that you can't have students sitting in the hall because you need them to do a timeout, so you send them out in the hall. They're not supervised in the hall. So that is a real clear regulation with the board policies. We will have fire drills and lockdown drills and all those sorts of things, and we'll have more discussions about that. You probably had that yesterday in the rotation, yes? Okay, great. Okay, students can't leave the grounds without permission. This is why we have to call into your classrooms for teachers. This is why we call into your classrooms so often. We will work with our parents and try to help them understand not to take kids out of class unless it's absolutely necessary, and to be kind of judicious when they're setting all those appointments for their kids. The key thing about this slide is conduct on school property. School property includes anything that the district owns, so that means buses as well, vans as well. That's still school property. You are held to the same level of responsibility when you are on the campus and even off the campus, chaperoning students, using or school property or school vehicles. That's the playing fields, that's the lots, it's buses, all those kinds of things. If you're a sponsor or a coach and you have money involved in your life, then there are guidelines for that, and Mr. Fair will walk you through that if he has not already done that. Essentially there, don't keep cash. Cash on hand is the one thing that I've seen get people in trouble. So if you get cash from students or any sort of an activity, get rid of the cash. Put it in the bookstore safe. Just don't have cash in your classroom, because that can lead to all sorts of problems. Okay, staff ethics. There shouldn't be anything that's surprising here. We are representatives of the educational world, and so we want to put our best foot forward. No ugly news reports. Use common sense. I don't think there's anything in here that we have to go through and spend a lot of time with. Again, go back and read it if you'd like to. Going back, though, to the staff conduct with students, the only thing that I want to say about that is that all of us that are here, we build relationships with the students, which is wonderful. But that relationship has got to be a caring professional adult to a student, not BFFs. You're not BFFs to the students. You don't want to friend them on Facebook. You don't want to have personal email addresses with you. That is only going to lead you down a road that you don't want to go. You have to maintain that distance. They don't need you as a friend. They need you as a professional adult who's their advocate. That's what our students need. Conflict of interest, that's if you have close relatives employed by the district and you are doing work for which you are being benefited from that's related to the district, you need to disclose if there could be a potential conflict of interest. In other words, if you're making money based on something that you do on the side, and the money that you make is because of your relationship with the district, then that needs to be disclosed. And there is a form for that in the board policies. If that is an issue, you're not sure, you're confused, come and see me and I'll be happy to clarify that with you. And that is the first batch of slides, so you can go ahead and sign that if you haven't already. It looks like this, 2 pages. Drug-free workplace, drug and alcohol training program. Those rules are pretty stringent. Anytime you transport students, you're held to a very high level, a very high standard in terms of being completely free of anything that could impair your judgment. Again, workplace is defined as all of those things. Anytime there's school property, district property, or students involved, that's the workplace. Board policies are pretty clear about drug and alcohol abuse. Essentially, don't do it. There you go. You want to sign that one? Medical marijuana is kind of a new area for us, so the board has come up with their policies and procedures with respect to medical marijuana. Essentially, that you cannot be under the influence of medical marijuana, and you cannot have it on your person or anywhere on the school grounds. Legal drugs and medications. If you are using any sort of a legal drug or medication that could possibly impair your ability to do your job, you just need to disclose it. If you're wondering what that might mean, talk with the nurse or talk with myself, and we'll figure that out together. This is just a summary of what we just talked about, your role model. We do maintain confidentiality should any of these issues arise. There is a procedure that we follow should there be any suspicion of use of any kind of drug or alcohol that could impair your ability to do your job professionally. There is a procedure that we follow, and it's very, very straightforward. But it does it does say that if there is a suspicion, I have no choice but to follow through. I have to follow through. That's part of my role. And so I will follow through and investigate and follow the procedures as we have them in the district. If you are asked to submit to a drug or alcohol test, you must submit to it. And that suspicion could come from a variety of ways. The other side of this is if you have a suspicion of a colleague, someone who works with our children, maybe under the influence, you have a responsibility to report it. If you are in any kind of an accident where there are students involving a school vehicle or any equipment, then you will be subject to a drug test. And that's I think has been around for quite a while, but even just a little fender bender, and you do have to submit to a drug test if you're using school property. Here's the good news, though. You don't have to pay for the drug test, so there you go. It's free. And so these are the procedures for the testing and what the consequences are should the test be positive. You just don't want to go down that road. If you or someone you know is struggling with that, there are employee assistance programs that are available. Get the help before the fact, because there are lots of agencies out there that can help, but just be very careful. That's just something we don't want to have to work with. We already talked about prescription or over-the-counter drugs. It's the same thing. If there is anything you're using that may impair your job performance, you want to disclose it. And as I mentioned, there is an employee assistance program that's available for any type of assistance, and there you go, that's Exhibit 4. Okay, are we okay? All right. Outside employment and disclosure. Essentially all this says is that if you are a full-time employee in the district, then that is your full-time responsibility. The district's not saying you can't have other employment, but it cannot interfere with your job here at the school. You cannot benefit in your second job by using district employees or district equipment or students. So you can't use district equipment for your outside job, and you can't use students to help you on your outside job. Tutoring for pay. There's nothing wrong with doing tutoring for pay, but you cannot do it during your professional day. That shouldn't surprise anybody. And you cannot get paid to do tutoring for students who are in your class. And that's the form for that. Okay, so you had mandatory reporting yesterday. I know that you covered that, and I'm sure you got a full coverage, so I'm going to go through this very quickly because everybody has spent time in the rotation. Yes? Yes. Yes. Okay. How's that for quick? There you go. Okay, we are not going to cover these because they were already covered and covered very well, I might say. I might add. Again, if there's anything about that, mandatory reporting, the time to ask about it is now. So get clarification if you need it. FERPA is also something that we are all have to be sensitive to, which is the Privacy, Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. The thing I want to say about this is parents have the right to all educational information about their child, including these things here that I'm listing. But another thing that isn't on here is emails. So a parent can come in and ask for emails, any emails that have happened with the staff about their child. So when you're writing emails about a lovely child, ask yourself, is it okay for the parent to read what I'm saying about this child? And if you want to vent, then do that privately, but not on email, because that could get you again in trouble. So there's a procedure for how parents, Cecily covered all this, right, Cecily? Okay. So there's a procedure on how this all happens, how we respond. And you all got this yesterday as well. All of this procedures. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're slipping through that. Child find, birth to 2 years. We don't have very many of those on campus. There we go. Child find. The 45-day screening form will be coming out shortly. And so I don't know what the procedure has been at South as far as who does that. Typically it's been English teachers. I don't know if that's the same here as what you've done historically, but the 45-day screening forms really are important, and we really do appreciate you taking time and looking at those carefully, because some kids will slip through the cracks. Sometimes parents don't disclose that their kids have special needs because they're afraid that they'll get scheduled in a way that they're not comfortable, or they're afraid you might not take them, or many reasons. And so the 45-day screening forms can be really helpful for us, so do take those seriously. Discipline and special education, there is a procedure. We covered it yesterday. We don't need to go through all of this again. This is all repeat. Questions? Excellent. Oh, here's what you do if you have questions. Have a terrific year. Okay. Title IX, sexual harassment, bullying, those sorts of things. This deals with discrimination. It covers each of these areas. Really, there isn't any area that Title IX can't cover. Our compliance officer for Title IX is Michelle Delgado. I'm sorry, Michelle Gutierrez. And this is her responsibilities. And they differentiate between sex-based discrimination and sexual harassment. There is a complaint form, should anyone feel that that's something that has affected them. And we will all have to do our part to make sure that we are keeping our workplace free of any type of harassment for any reason whatsoever. There's the reporting form that's used. Dating abuse is kind of new over the last few years. The thing about dating abuse, it's a pattern. It's a pattern of behavior in which one person uses or threatens to use the items you see listed there. So a student can tell you about potentially having dating abuse, and again, it is something you have to report. It is mandatory reporting. Again, some of this was covered in the rotation yesterday, but dating abuse is kind of a new area. And there's a complaint form. Then we talk about bullying and harassment. So we had a group of students address the staff one year and talk about bullying. And one of the interesting things that the students said to our staff was that bullying starts in the classroom. And it starts when one child says something, one student says something to another that's supposed to be funny, but it's kind of hurtful, and the teacher doesn't do anything. Because the teacher thinks they're just kidding around. Or maybe the teacher just didn't really attend to it, or maybe she just didn't think, or he didn't think it was serious. But what the students wanted us all to hear was that that's where it starts, because when that child hears another student say something that belittles them in any way, and the adult in the room doesn't do anything about it, then it's implicit agreement, it's collusion. And then that typically builds outside of the classroom. So we all have to be really, really, really diligent in making sure that in every environment where we have students, that everyone there feels able to take a risk without worrying about someone saying, well, that was a stupid answer, or, yeah, he always says that. Or all the kinds of remarks that kids say to each other. We just have to model the sort of atmosphere and climate that will make our kids trust each other to the point that they feel safe and will take risks, because they can't learn if they don't take risks. How to do that? Thank you. Okay, harassment and intimidation. You need to report any incidents of bullying. We have an amazing staff here, Student Support Services. I think this Student Support Services department that we have at South Mountain is better than anything I've ever seen. And so I'm very, very sure if you report to them any concerns that you have whatsoever, they'll be able to take that ball and run with it and make sure that our kids are taken care of. There's a complaint form for that as well. Okay, technology use. The way I always talk about this is that think about your computer. If you have a school phone, if you have, you have your devices, anything that has anything to do with technology. Every time you're on it, just imagine Dr. Scribner standing over your shoulder and watching what you're doing with it. And are you comfortable with him seeing what you're doing with that device? And if not, then don't do it. Because at any time, that device could be in his office, and he could in fact be looking at what you've done with that device. So be very, very careful. The last thing we want to do is see a group of people coming from district going in and picking up somebody's computer or their devices and taking them back to CES. That is chilling for all of us. So just be very, very careful. And when you send anything I don't know again what the policy has been here, but I'm going to tell you what I like to enforce is that ZZs do not go out unless they go through Twyla. Twyla is the only one that sends ZZs out. Okay, so that we've got to keep the ZZs under control because that's what will get us in trouble. And if you send a ZZ, if you have something you really think needs to go out to everyone, you send it to Twyla, and then she'll make a decision, she'll get my input about whether it's appropriate to be out as a ZZ. If you send something out, even not a ZZ, but just to a few friends, and it's a joke and you think it's funny, and I'm sure there are many of them that are, consider whether or not it's appropriate, and would it be appropriate if Dr. Scrivener was the one looking at it and reading it and thinking of it going out. Just be very careful. You also have a responsibility when you're using technology in your classroom to make sure that the sites that you are on are appropriate for students. And I know sometimes things pop up and just about knock you off your chair, like, where did that come from? Just move right along and make sure that the kids don't have any kind of line of sight to any classified or information that might be considered inappropriate for the students. Yes.
Back to the emails. I think it's really cool when we find out that students do some wonderful things on campus, but I love Debbie to death, but I don't really need to know that she congratulates them too. Can we not do replies to all on responses? Like I said, I want to hear about how our kids do, but sometimes we get some people reply to all, and we all know that Debbie just thinks it's cool that those kids do those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who didn't hear, it's just be careful when you reply, not do a reply for all, because generally speaking, not everyone needs to be replied to. So be specific. If you're replying, just reply back to the sender and not reply to all, or if you want to forward to a certain people, you can do that. But yeah, those chains and threads that go on and on and on, and then you redo a reply all, and then someone else does a reply all, and pretty soon your Outlook is filled up with them. We just want to avoid that if possible. The other thing I'll say about Outlook is that we live in a world now where Outlook is a main way we communicate, which means you have to be on your Outlook accounts, guys. You got to be reading your Outlook emails because we communicate through Outlooks. For good or bad, that's the way we communicate in the world we live in. And so the days are gone when you can just say, I don't open up my Outlook because I don't really care what's going on. You have to open up your Outlook. It's part of your professional responsibilities to read your Outlook and be aware of what's happening. And keep your Outlook inbox, and delete a box and send box, keep them tidy. And if you need help on how to do that, Peter can help you do that. We use Outlook a lot for shared calendars. Like the admin team, we all see each other's calendars, so we share our calendars. We also use Outlook Calendar, and I think I've sent Outlook Calendar invites to you for certain things, and so that's another method or way that Outlook can really help keep us organized. So please be sure you're using Outlook regularly and appropriately. Okay, Children's Internet Protection Act. We need to monitor the safety and security of the students by using emails. Somebody asked me yesterday about the kids having email accounts, and it's my understanding, Peter, is that you over there? Yes, the doors are behind you. Yeah, isn't the district in the process of having all kids have an email account through the district?
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a year.
Okay. So we think it might happen this year? Okay. Okay, and that's the technology used for. Social media. So this came out, I think, just last year. It might have been 2 years ago. And this comes through Craig Botanic's area. And this idea of using social media as an instructional tool, which I encourage. I think we should do it as much as possible. This is the world our kids live in. Let's leverage the world that they're comfortable in and kind of co-opt it for educational purposes if we can. The district is a little concerned sometimes with how we do that. So they have, well, the first part is a little education. So this is all, pardon me if this is all review for you, but what are memes? Here are some examples of some memes, and if you want a laugh or a cry, look up South Mountain memes, and you'll see what the kids have said about the school, and maybe about you personally. And then there's, again, reiterating you're responsible for anything that you put on the technology, that the district has the right to review everything that you have used the technology for that's a district technology and can result in disciplinary action. So they have electronic communication policy to protect the district, its students, and its staff. They have a little acronym that anything you do digitally to communicate should be transparent, accessible, and professional. And then they define what that means. So you want everything that you communicate with digitally to be something that you're okay with anybody seeing. There shouldn't be any private communication between you and a student. It should be something that you're very okay with anybody seeing. And that it's accessible by others, and that it's professional in terms of its tone. Emails live forever. Edit your emails. Also, edit them from the standpoint of taking a breath once you've written it. Stand back from it a minute. Sometimes you just gotta say this because it's really bugging you. You put it down there, and then before you hit send, just take a breath and think, really need to send that? Maybe not. Maybe I got it all out by just writing it. Because once it's sent, it's done. It's a done deal. And the way you communicate with another individual face-to-face is completely different than an email, and you know that. You got those emails that are all capped, and they just make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, what is she yelling at me for? You know, and it's just someone happened to have the cap key locked and didn't know, you know. So again, assume positive intent. But on the other hand, be careful what you send out. So there are 3 levels of communication. Acceptable are synergy. We could argue that, some of us sometimes. District email is acceptable. The district website, pre-approved social media. Less acceptable is text messaging to students. So they're just saying, they're not saying you don't do it, they're just saying you're kind of getting into some potentially rough waters there. Is that a hand up? Yes.
I just want to say about that policy, those documents are online, and if you have any sort of website where you communicate with students, you have to put that in your plan for success, and I know I've said this before. The documents tell you, and the parents have to sign it, so if anybody needs help, like if you have like an outside website that you put some things on, or you have like a Facebook account, that has to be in your plan for success. So if anybody needs help finding that or how to improve that, let me know.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Okay, and then unacceptable use of non-district email account to communicate with students. Don't use your personal email to communicate directly with students. You do not want to do that. Online games and related activities, unapproved social media. So, here are the procedures that Allison was referring to. You must have parental permission. There's a form that you can use. You can't require students to have social media accounts. Can't be a requirement. And that if you have any questions or any issues, you could go through Greg Plantenic's office, which is the Community Relations Office. You got to be sure that if you're using social media, that you're still complying with FERPA, confidentiality, and when in doubt, get parent permission. And this is the process for the social media approval that Allison was referring to, and there is the application for it. And then they talk about Facebook, and there is a fan business page you can set up. That's not a Facebook group or personal page, and they tell you how to walk through that process. One thing I'm going to go back to is don't share your password with anyone that is not a site administrator. So it is amazing how quickly your password can be hacked. We've had some students who are in the computer technology program. Again, we talked to our staff, and they asked me what my password is. They put it up there, and within about 2 minutes, they were able to hack my password and tell me what it was. That's how easy passwords can be hacked. The programs they have right now for hacking into passwords are pretty phenomenal. So they did give us some clues, hints of how to set a password that can't be that, and I'm just going to share it with you really quickly. And that is that, oops, I'm using up too much time. Okay, just real quickly. So instead of saying like, you know, a family member, your dog's name, and then your birth date, or the street you live on, and then the year you were born, or something like that, which is what a lot of us do. They said make up a phrase, something like, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. Then my password would be IWIHH, and then a date, maybe my birth date. And they said that kind of password you can always remember because it's a phrase that's meaningful to you and really, really difficult to hack. So for what that's worth, it was pretty enlightening for us. Again, this is what that fan page looks like. Example. If you're in doubt at all whether you might be exposed, you get in touch with the nurse or security. And if you would like a hepatitis B vaccine, it's available free of charge. And there's the form for it. And that's the end. So make sure you sign all the forms that you have. And if you are classified, you're free to leave, but please go out this door.
That we are there to coach and support. That this is really a coaching opportunity, coaching conversation, and we're there to help you be as successful as possible in the evaluation cycle. That we're working together throughout the process, the pre, the observation, the post, to help you be as successful as possible, so we are working collaboratively. So, the evaluation cycle, we'll have a scheduled pre-conference. We'll start scheduling those for after the 31st. Then you'll have your observation and then your post-conference. And there'll be 60 days between evaluation 1 and 2, so you'll have one first semester and second semester unless you meet that 3.75 and you determine that you don't want to do that. And there are guidelines with the number of days between when it's scheduled and when the observation will happen, as well as the meeting after that time. So that there are strict guidelines that we will be following to make sure that it's done in a judicious manner. Okay, so here are some of those guidelines. The first, professional growth plans. Professional growth plans need to be uploaded to CareerTrack by August 31st. And then semester 1 evaluations are completed by December 1st. For second semester, they'll be completed by May 1st. And there'll be a summative and the PGB conference by May 15th. So for those that are new teachers, the induction hours can be your PGP. Any score of a 2 triggers the need for a professional development plan. So PGP, so this is really the crux of what you're working on as a professional, and where we as your evaluators can work collaboratively to support your growth in the area that you determine. So these are your goals, and we're there to support them. So it's aligned, I should say, Southbound. That's where the technical difficulties were. Southbound RCIP. So
That key didn't work.
yeah. Got the M.
Yeah.
Okay, so the CIP goals. So I think that alignment between the PGP and our goals, those are important because we want to have, that is our blueprint, and so where are you working as a professional to improve yourself to align with our goals as a full school. It requires evidence to document growth by the end of the year, so we're going to be looking at where's the data to show us what did you do, what did you say you were going to do, and then did you do it. There's only one standard, so there's 4 standards, multiple in there that you can choose. You just need to choose one standard and then select one goal from that standard. And then we'd like the PGP template uploaded to CareerTrack. And so the PGP template can be downloaded from CareerTrack. CareerTrack has a lot of different resources around how do you score a 4 in different areas, and there's going to be more resources coming to you around the evaluation instrument and your evaluation cycle. So we don't need it emailed 24 hours prior, but having that in CareerTrack is helpful so that we have a sense of where you're going, but we don't need an email to be evaluators. There are going to be some pre and post conference, again, guidance that we will be providing. We're probably going to come into your PLCs and talk more about that to really make sure that we're supporting you in the areas that you desired, as well as what are some things that you can be doing as a professional to help grow. So there's going to be much more support coming around those pre-conferences and the things you're thinking about. And then any data that you might have that you want to show us. So, effective. So we know that everybody wants to get a 4. They all want to get a 4 in every area, every time, because that's where we want to be as professionals. We want to be doing a great job. But we also know that the bar for a 4 is very high, and it's sometimes more difficult during first semester to reach that level because you're working with your students and you're getting those systems set up. And second semester it may be a little bit more conducive to 4s, but 3 is a good score, and you're doing a great job, and you're a solid teacher, and you're proficient. So we know that those 4s, there are some areas that are a little bit easier than others, but 3s are good. You're doing a good job. So it's okay. We all want to get to the 4s, and we're going to support you to try to get there, but we know that that can be difficult in some areas. So there's just the scores. So for those that get a 3.75 or higher, there's an option to waive the second evaluation, and that would be mutually agreed upon by the teacher and the evaluator based on the teacher performance on the first 4 standards with no score below a 3. So 3.3 or higher, again, you've got the option, you've got some options. Second pre-conference can be waived. Kate has shared that in retrospect, they have anybody that waive that, because that's really a crucial part of the evaluation cycle, is having that conversation prior to going into it. And often the coaching conversation itself can be powerful to increase your thinking around a lesson. So that'd be mutually agreed upon by teacher and evaluator based on teacher's performance on the first 4 standards with no score below a 3. And there's a lesson plan provided to evaluator prior to the observation in order to be able to get to the 3.3. So what is it made up of? The summative includes your evaluation score, the student academic growth, and then depending on where you are for BC with those valid and reliable assessments. Anything that you'd like to do?
No, I want to just reiterate what Matt was saying, is that this whole process is about us to have an opportunity to see what's happening in the classroom, to make sure that the process is a positive, productive process for you. It's just going to get you kind of thing, so that's why it's a coaching model. And so again, I don't know the history, but what I can tell you that we will do here is, first of all, the 5 of us will be sure that we're on the same page. We'll calibrate what we're doing. So not only are we evaluating in the same manner, we'll have iterate reliability so that it doesn't matter who your evaluator is, the expectations will be the same. Much like we talk about with what PLCs are, viable and guaranteed curriculum, you need a viable and guaranteed evaluation process. And that we will also support this process by making sure we're transparent and consistent in our communications. So our expectations about what you bring to the pre-conference will be the same regardless of which evaluator that you've got. And we will share all of that with you. We have lots of resources that I've used before that say, here are the things that you will need to bring to the pre-conference. At the pre-conference, the only score you'll get is the planning for learning. That one score, because that's all that that's telling us at this point, is how you plan for that learning event. But at that pre-conference, we looked at the entire rubric so that we can say to you, based on what you presented to us, here's where we think you would be in the rubric. However, if you would like to reach a little bit higher, here's what you could do to reach to a 4. We feel that's our role as coaches, is to lay out for you where you are and to tell you where you could go to get to a 4. And so I will be sharing with you some resources, some pre-conference, some observation and post-conference tips that tell you exactly what is the difference between a 3 and a 4, how you would get there, so that there should be really no surprises. One of the things we'll also do in staff meetings is we're take a little time in a staff meeting or a PD event to actually score some teacher on a video so that you can use the rubric yourself and see just how the language of the rubric is very specific. And even though in your heart of hearts you're thinking, well, that was a really strong teacher, I'm going to give that teacher a 4. Well, I think that teacher really had it together. It wasn't on the rubric, or what they were doing was on the rubric, but I mean, the rubric was there, but they didn't hit the rubric. They can't get a 4, no matter how much you in your heart of hearts know that they're good, strong. So we all can't do that, because if we're not living by the rubric, then the whole thing falls apart. The other thing I'll just say is that the summative conference, we will send you something that says this is exactly what you need to bring to the summative conference. Professional responsibilities, we pull information from a variety of places to make sure that you're hitting all the indicators. And so we'll spell out to you, this is what this indicator means, and this is where we get the information to tell us whether you hit that indicator. And so we'll share all that information with you. So I think you'll see the process is pretty painless. Don't stress so much over it. You don't need to bring a 3-ring binder, PowerPoint, and dancing boys to the pre-conference. Well, you can bring the dancing boys. Don't stress out over it, because it's really a pretty simple process. It's just that the rubric is very, very specific, and so we can't really break or bend the rubric very much. And so that's where we see our role is to help you wend your way through the rubric. I shared this in the rotations yesterday. I do have a lesson plan template that I will share as soon as I figure out how to do an address group with Outlook, because they changed it now and it's more difficult. But anyway, I'll get an address group. I'll send it out to all the certified teachers. And the lesson plan template does hit all the marks of the rubric. And as I said in the rotations, you don't have to use it, but if you do, it's a great way to be a checklist. Because did we hit possible misconceptions? Did I get a real-world connection? Are there interdisciplinary connections? All those kinds of things that the rubric talks about are on the lesson plan. So, and what I would say is, when we sit and coach with you, we're telling you what we think where we think you are currently, and what you could do to get to a higher score. But it's all in the execution. So you could have a golden lesson plan, but when we go to the observation, if you forget to do the things that are in the lesson plan, we can't score you high just because you had them, we thought about them, and they were on your lesson plan. They have to actually be in the execution. Any specific questions or general questions about the evaluation process?
I just want to add that we have great John Doherty, who is a fantastic resource for this and this process, and to be a coach and to be a collaborator as you're thinking through it. I'm thinking about doing this. Let's talk about these different strands. I scored here, or I want to score here. So please utilize. We're very lucky to have him here, and so utilize him to have those conversations as you're moving towards that. That's why he's here, and we're here to work collaboratively with you to help you improve as a professional.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
We're all about the supervision next week. The kids are here, and evaluation will be here before we know it. I don't really keep hours. I never kept hours with my students. I don't keep them with staff. So my cell phone number is at the bottom of my email with my signature. You are welcome to call me if you're working late or early. I can do that at 4:30 and go down around 10:30. So if you want to text me or email me or whatever, if you have a quick question or if you want to set something up, feel free to call. I really don't mind at all.
Any questions? All right.
So before you leave, a couple things. You got to make sure all the things you were supposed to sign, you put on the table. If you don't move it yet, if you were here and you didn't get a packet because we didn't have a packet with your name on it, hand me personally the white form that you signed so I can make sure I give you credit for